Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Blue Ribbon Channel live stream today in a rather unique location. And before I even continue, I just want to make sure that anybody can hear me. I see Max, I see Aaron, Buddy Knight. I'm going to make sure that I'm getting live chat and not like delayed chat here. Yes, we can hear. Oh, good, wonderful. Yeah, I don't want top messages. I want all messages. Yeah. Wonderful. Okay. So before we even start, I gotta fill you in on a few things. I had some friends that were supposed to be helping me do this today, and they had to bail. So I'm doing this all by my little lonesome self, and so I may actually have to even set the camera down to open a door or something. Um, the other issue is that my automobile had to go into the shop today, and they haven't called me back yet, and they could call me back anytime during the stream. If they call, I may have to end the stream, talk to them on the phone, and then I will reconnect as soon as I'm done. It's been one of those days. We had thunderstorms just a few hours ago. It was cloudy. Now it's kind of hazy, sunny, but it's breezy at times. We are live here in Chandler, Arizona. This is the Arizona Railway Museum. Arizona Railway Museum has been around since 1990, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it's 1990. Originally, it was in the downtown section of Chandler at a smaller park, and it grew from a few pieces of equipment. And the first one being this steam locomotive here, which was built in 1906 by by Baldwin Locomotive Works for the Southern Pacific Railroad. It's a 280 wheel configuration, and was retired in 1956 and was donated to the city of Chandler. And that is why the Arizona Railway Museum is on city park property, but we are our own entity. But this is one of those projects that the museum would love to see it maybe run someday, but that's a long ways down the road. We have a lot of equipment here at the museum site in various stages of restoration, or at least maintaining the equipment. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a tour. I'm in my golf cart here, so we're going to go around and take a look at some of the equipment. Most of the cars here, we actually have a lot of passenger cars, and we have quite a few Santa Fe cars, being that Santa Fe Railroad pretty much is the dominant railroad that represents the state of Arizona. So we do have two pieces of equipment that we just received, actually, just within the last few years, and that's these high-level cars. We have two of them total, and one was built in 1964, which is the 543, and the other one trailing there on the end is a straight-on coach that was built in 1956. And the 543 is actually a transition car, because you can see that the windows are up above the loading door here. But at the end of this car, there's a stairway that leads down to the lower level. So you can actually walk from the upper level on this car to the lower level. And Amtrak had actually kept these cars all the way until, I think about 2003, 2004 was when they started to retire them. So they've had quite a few years of service, because Amtrak had decided to build newer cars that were on the same high level design. So these cars worked well with the newer Superliner cars. But Amtrak is now even starting to consider retiring the Superliner equipment, and they retired the older Santa Fe equipment here about 15, 20 years ago. But I'm going to go ahead and give us a little gas, and we'll come down the line here. I see, Scott's here, American Loyalist. Mark's on. I hope I don't make people sick by the jarring, but I got to drive and hold my stick at the same time. We do have a few pieces of freight equipment, wood-sided boxcar, single dome tank car, shorty little flat car with a container. And this wood-sided caboose, you would think looks like it's dating from the 1800s, but it was actually built in 1947 or 1944. And the reason why it's wood-sided is because we're still under a all metals going to the war effort, and so they built this caboose for the the TCG, a railroad here in Arizona, and they got the okay to build it with a steel frame, but had to use the wood sides. And a lot of cars that were built during the war that were built with wood sides for the war effort. The more modern Santa Fe wide vision caboose. We have various diesel locomotives. We have little industrial switchers. We've got a Baldwin. It's an RSD 5, I believe. It does run. Most of these locomotives actually do run, but in some situations they do have some work that needs to be done to make them completely operable, but the diesel engines run on them. Oh, let me turn around. We'll head up to the front side and I'll show you the museum building here. No, I'm glad we don't have gas-powered golf carts. I'm glad they're electric. They maintain a pretty good charge, and they're a lot more quiet. I wouldn't want to hear little gasoline putt-putt thing running around all over the place. We have two Southern Pacific Bay window cabooses. They're both going to be, or I'm not sure what that was. Oh, it was a plastic bottle. We have one here that's used for children to use for private parties and stuff, or birthdays. Good grief, we got trash cans blowing all over the place. We just received this one that was abandoned down in Tucson and was donated to the museum, and we're going to turn it into a party car as well. This is our museum building, which actually has displays inside and our gift shop and everything else. This little shack right here, this is our workshop. And, mill, drill presses, table saws, all that good stuff, all inside here. Outside work area here. This is our upholstery shop in this other Southern Pacific caboose. This white refrigerated car is actually our archives car, which is kept at a low temperature and low humidity for preservation purposes. The green box car here is our electric car, so anything electrical, modern or old equipment for railroad cars is all kept in that car. And then this is our parts car. We have toilets and light fixtures and gosh, just about everything under the sun is in this car here. This is the Verde Valley, which is being worked on at the time. We just got this paint job. This is a Santa Fe two-tone gray. It was painted two-tone gray so that it would match the New York Central 20th Century Limited equipment, so that Santa Fe could run through sleepers from New York to Los Angeles by way of 20th Century Limited to Chicago, and then on the Super Chief to Los Angeles. Buddy Knight says the Blue Ribbon is so cool. How we figured out how to make steam-powered trains. Oh gosh, I mean, and even when they went to diesels, they still had to use steam. So steam was prevalent even in the modernization period. This car here, it's a two-tone blue, needs a paint job, but it is privately owned. This is the Federal, which was a Pullman pool service car, meaning it was never really owned by a railroad. It was operated by the Pullman company, and if you needed to use a private car on a special trip, you could call the Pullman company up and have it arranged to be at a station, be on a train. Pullman company would service would offer the services on board, and so this is one of those cars. This is a Amtrak runnable car, and it is 1 year older than Titanic. It is built in 1911, and it is the oldest operating car on the Amtrak system. A lot of this equipment down here is owned by private individuals. They just keep it here for storage. The Santa Fe business car 56, which was a private car, and it is Amtrak compatible as well, and is now owned by the museum. This is our third high-level car, which isn't quite ready to be put on display yet, but this is a high-level lounge car. All of the high-level cars were built for the El Capitan for the Santa Fe Railroad, which ran from LA to Chicago, and it was an all-coach service train. Amtrak also kept these cars, and in fact, in the last years of service up until the early, I think 2005, 5 of the 6 of these cars were converted to what they called the Pacific Parlor Car, and they ran on the Coast Starlight on Amtrak as a deluxe sleeping car passenger only lounge, and they were very popular on Amtrak. But Amtrak was wanting to try and get rid of the older cars that were costing a lot of money, and so these were retired. This was the 6th car out of those cars, and Amtrak continued to run it until the early 2000s, but never modified it to the Pacific Parlor Car, which is a good thing because it lost a lot of the original interior when Amtrak did that. And so this car maintained a lot of the original interior, and so it's being completely refurbished on the inside. But a lot of maintenance of way equipment here. We have various cranes for crack repair and wrecking repair. This is the Imperial Manor, which is a New York Central 20th Century Limited car, built for the earlier equipment. This was built in 1942, and this is also in the process of being restored as well. I'm going to go ahead and turn around because the rest of the equipment down here is just all freight cars. We have various tank cars, bulkhead flat cars, regular flat cars with containers that we put all kinds of junk in. We have sugar beet cars. We have a copper ore car that's actually a caboose. It's an ore car / caboose. That one right there. You see the little marker lights on it. Let me turn around. This is our streamlined E88 locomotive. This was built in 1954 and was built for the Chicago Northwestern Railroad, operated on various Chicago Northwestern trains, including the 400s, and then went into Metro service for commuter trains out of Chicago, and was doing Metro service all the way until 1998, I believe, was when it was pulled out of service. One of my favorite locomotives. It's actually not even owned by the museum. It's privately owned, but it's one of those situations where I think that the owner will probably at some point realize that he's not going to do anything with it and then just donate it to the museum. You can't count on that entirely, but we're hoping for that. Yeah, I think the last of those, the E units and the F units, I think the last ones were built in the early 60s. The F units were just a shorter 4-axle version of an E unit, and they only had one diesel power plant instead of 2, like the E units did. This is our car washer that we got donated. It has moving brushes and soap and and superheats water and everything. It actually cleans railroad cars pretty good. You just basically move the train very slowly as it's running, and does a pretty good job. I've got a video of it. I'll have to put it up. I'm always wanting to go fast. This set over here with the green car right there. This is all our heavyweight cars, and I'm not really going to get down there really to show those too much because there's so much stuff to show. But one of the interesting things is you can see the second car after this platform car here. It's got baggage doors on it. It's a 3-door baggage car. But there's two things unique about it. One is that it is 95 feet long, which is 10 feet longer than a normal railroad car, passenger car. Most cars are 85 feet long. And it has an end hinged door, and it was known as a horse baggage car. And you could actually swing open the end of the car, and there were horse stalls on that end of the car where horses could be brought up on a ramp and brought into the car. Later, the horse stalls were taken out, and you could actually drive automobiles into it. Southern Pacific actually kept that car up into the 90s as a maintenance of way car because it was such a heavy-duty, big car to have. So I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you to my car, and we'll get that out of the way so I can show that really quick. Whee! Boy, it's windy. Okay. So this here is the West Palm Beach. This is my car. And it was built in 1949 for the Seaboard Airline Railroad. And yes, it is an airline. And the reason why it was called an airline is because it was the shortest distance between. So it had the shortest distance between Savannah and Atlanta, but basically by way of air. If you were like a crow and flying, it had the shortest distance of any other railroad. There were several railroads that ran between like Savannah and Atlanta, and but they had a more of a stretch and winding curves of a main line to where it took a little bit longer to get there. So that was why they called it the Seaboard Airline. But this car was built in 1949 for the Seaboard's Streamliner, the Silver Meteor, which ran between New York and Miami. And it was originally an all-Pullman train. I'm sorry, correction. It was an all-coach train. And then later, as time moved on before the railroads ended passenger service, they decided to go ahead and add sleeping cars to it. But that was just after the war in 1949 when they decided to add sleeping cars. And it's also a work in progress. The orange stripe is not original to the car. That was the previous owner had put that on. I am working on rebuilding the air conditioning system for it, which is why you see the little household window air conditioner sitting in the windows, because it does still get warm here even in the wintertime, and it is nice to have a little bit of comfort. So we'll go ahead and we'll step on inside. Now I'm going to warn you really quick. This is a basically a working dormitory car. So I have to sleep and eat and everything else in here. And so I may not be the most tidy person right now, but you'll get to see the car anyway. So no complaints on the on my my possible tacky luggage being around. So this is what is the lounge end of the car now. It was originally all bedroom space, and the previous owner had taken out 6 of the single-person bedrooms and made it into a lounge, and I've kept it like that. It will actually be a lounge and a dining room. But as you can see, I've made it home, complete with lazy boy recliner. And where's the bar? There's the bar, and there's my splice to the main brace. It's already been poured and ready for me to drink. Got my television. I brought my DVD Blu-ray player back. I got a little small refrigerator. My computer's all set up here, and these are 2 of the original beds from these 2 bedrooms that were here. And I usually sleep in this one right here. And this is where you can see I put all my luggage. So this is actually the original portion of the rest of the car. And so these are what were called roomettes. Basically just a single person room with a little Murphy bed. You also had your own toilet and sink. The sinks are all still inside the remaining rooms, but the toilets were all taken out. I do have one here that has a toilet, but it's not the original one. I intend to make this car Amtrak compatible and fully refurbished. Yes, that may take some time. Depends on whether or not I win the lottery, but yeah, I do intend to do that. These 4 rooms will actually be taken out, and this space here will actually become a galley for the dining room and a crew bedroom and a shower room. So I have okay, it is a little bit safe there. So this is one of the roomettes. The bed used to be up in here, but this has now become basically like the one working toilet for the car. Seaboard Airline, later Seaboard Coastline, and then it did go to Amtrak, and Amtrak continued to run the car on the East Coast until 1983. And then they put the car into storage. They had planned to modernize the car, but it was pulled from that plan when government didn't give them the funds that they wanted. And so they put it up for sale. And a member of the museum had actually bought the car in 1995 and then had it brought out here. Yes. And when the previous owner got the car from Amtrak, it was a absolute mess because it had been sitting in storage unprotected, meaning going through winters and summers for all those years. And that meant that there were probably about like 100 different areas of freeze damage in the plumbing on the car. And he got a lot of the plumbing working. And so I use this room it's the one toilet that will work because it goes into a holding tank. Otherwise, originally they used to go on the ground. But you can see the toilet there. But I'll show you this is the original sink. And it's a folding sink. Does work, and I do have a water heater, so I have hot water. I do have a shower, which I'll show you really quick. I gotta find the light switch. So these rooms here, this is like supply room. I keep screws and nuts and cans of paint and pretty much everything under the sun in here. This is my linen room, so I keep all like clean towels, clean sheets, clean blankets, clean pillows. I stack those all in here. This is my tool room, but it's an absolute mess because I've been working on all kinds of projects. But I keep all my screwdrivers and drills and grinders and wire feed welder and everything else all in here. This door that's open is actually the original linen locker, but it's not really great to put the linen in there. It always seems to get dusty and dirty. So I just throw work clothes. I put just a bunch of old work clothes in here. There's a big picture of the observation car of the Silver Meteor, and I just always like the drum head, the sign for the train on the rear. And so we make a little zigzag, and then this is the bedroom. And when I mean bedroom, I mean as in double beds, 2 beds, an upper and lower berth. I've restored a lot of cars, Chris. And one of them was a car called the Tallahassee, which was also a Seaboard car, and it was an all-bedroom car. And that car, I was involved. Like, we basically stripped it down to the bare bones, and then redid everything. Oh, Mark. Oh, yeah. I guess I could walk in there really quick. So this is one bedroom right here. You have the upper berth that's opened by that little hole there for a berth key, and then the lower berth is actually a sofa berth. And there was a partition that would either fold up so that you could make it a 4-person bedroom, or close it and lock it, and then you would have a separate double bedroom, which is here. Turn this light on. Come on, lights, turn on. So here is the lower berth for this bedroom, which is down right now, and the upper berth is tucked away where it's normally stored, and that's up above the bathroom. And it slides down those tracks and then folds out. But the original, or the previous owner, had actually intended to make this like 1 bedroom. It will go back to being 2. And he took this bathroom, which had a sink and a toilet, took all that out and decided to just make it a shower, which still functions for me. And, after a day's work, I do need to take a shower. So it works. I get nice hot water. I'm glad I lost a little weight because it's not exactly big. You couldn't fit 2 people in here, so you could barely fit me in here. But it works. The original bathroom, the light will work. Come on, light, turn on. Turn on. There it is. So this is the original bathroom. Again, folding sink. Come on, turn off. This is the problem with when you don't use faucets sometimes on the car. They want to stick. And then I won't have water in the tank anymore. The original toilet went there. And a functioning toilet will go back here at some point. I always like this too. So this is the closet. It's a very narrow closet, but it's just enough to hang a few pieces of articles of clothes. But it even has a little light. And so the other sets of bedrooms are now being. This is like removed parts car, removed parts room. Anything that's been taken off the car by me is marked and tagged and everything, so I know exactly where it goes back. And so that's what is in these racks here, and up in these racks over here. And then the last set of bedrooms is actually going to be like the first rooms to be like stripped down and restored. So again, we have the upper and lower berth. This is the berth down, and then the other bedroom over here. Okay, I guess we'll go into the next car. We can do that. But I'm gonna have to turn on lights because I have the lights off right now. I'll just turn the lights on so you'll be surprised. Okay. So this is the Eugene Field. It was also built in 1949 for the St. Louis San Francisco Railroad, or known as the Frisco Railroad. And it operated out of the St. Louis area on various trains. And it was retired several years before Amtrak even came into service, and was sold to a company that decided to turn it into a business car for the company that sold photo processing equipment. And so they had set up this car for to show off their equipment, really, including they had a dark room and everything in it. And company decided it was costing them too much money, and so they sold it to some individuals. And those individuals turned it into their own little private car, and it ran on the East Coast in the late 60s, early 70s, into the mid 70s, I guess. And it was owned by 4 guys who had created like their own little club to keep the car. And in their bylaws for their club, the bylaws stated that upon the deaths of the members, when it came down to the last member of the 4 being alive, the car would then go into ownership of that last surviving member. And that last surviving member is still alive, and he's a good friend of mine. And it was his car, and he kept it out there in New Jersey for years and years and years. And he decided to donate it to the museum. He lives out in Anaheim, in Southern California. So he comes out with me on occasion, and although he donated the car, we still call it his car. And if anybody's curious as to who Eugene Field was, he was a poet. He wrote, I think he wrote Three Blind Mice. And I'm going to get this name wrong. It's like Winky, Blinky, and Nod, or something like that. Yeah, so if you Google up Eugene Field, he is a mid 19th century poet. So this car was also all sleeping car space, and then had been modified when it was sold. And so this area was little single person bedrooms, like in my car, and they turned this into a lounge. And although this is totally not original to the car, everything that you see in the car is original to a railroad car. So the light fixtures are railroad equipment light fixtures. The chairs are from a railroad lounge car. The ashtray drink table stands are from a railroad lounge car. And even this blue fern carpeting that you see on the floor here, it's a wool rug, and this is also original. Not to this car particularly, but it is original as far as taken out of a railroad car. This was a very popular pattern in the 40s and 50s. And so they had also, this was a dark room, and so the museum actually turned it into a kitchen. And so I use it. This is my kitchen when I'm staying here. I've just got convection oven, microwave oven, and a little 2-burner stove. Then I've got a little skillet, toaster oven, coffee maker. But the thing that really comes in handy is to actually have a big full fridge and freezer. So I use that when I can. So this was the dining room portion of the car that they had made, and it's set up to basically you can either have, you know, several groups of four, or you can set up the tables all together to make one big long like a conference table. And so this is actually one of the last remaining original portions of the car, and this is a two-person bedroom, a double bedroom, just like on my car. And there's the lower berth folded down with the upper berth uh, ajar, but it is folded up. But Aaron, this is the car I was telling you about. That we came in here to talk about these. Um, so we have reading lights here on either end. So when the sofa's up, you can sit there and read a book, or if you're laying in bed, you can read a book. But the very interesting thing, though, is that the light switch down here at the bottom is radium tipped, so that in the middle of the pitch black darkness of night, you'll always see a little green dot glowing. And my friend Austin, I think he might even be watching this. He loves to bring his Geiger counter, and so he brought his Geiger counter to see what was reading off of that. And man, it was intense if you're really really close to the switch. But as you get a few more inches away, it actually it dissipates. So if you are here and you're using the reading light, I wouldn't put your head like up next to it for a while. And these bedrooms are all basically the same. And we have there's four total. There's the third one and the fourth one. And then at this end of the car, this was actually where the sleeping car porter would stay. His little bed was up in a little cabinet there, and this was his personal space where he could he had a little chair to sit and all that. Okay, let's go ahead, and I want to get to the other set of cards I really wanted to show you guys, and then I can put this thing down and actually talk to you guys a little bit more. And I know Austin was asking so about not being horizontal. You cannot go horizontal on a YouTube scheduled stream using YouTube. You probably can do it like in another way, but if you are a scheduled um, uh, mobile phone live stream, you can't change between vertical and horizontal. You can if you go immediately live stream, but I wanted to schedule it, so. All right. Oh, there's Austin with his big grin. Yeah, Austin. Josh and Cody ditched me. Never called me back. Okay, that drink's coming with me. Mm. So I'm going to come out with a video here, probably within the next week, that will talk a little bit more about this car, the Jane Marie, and a sit-down interview with the owner of the car, who is also the vice president of operations of the museum. And we talk Queen Mary and restoration. So that'll be coming out here maybe in the next week or so. No, this I can drink and drive and not get a ticket. James is asking, Steve, To take that thing, oh well, shoot, I'd love to be on the Huey P. Long at some point, but being on any train going over the Huey P. Long is an experience, and I guess even driving over it is an experience. Oh, okay, we can't spill the drink. We gotta go slow. Got to go slow. We do not want to spill the drink, and we do not gnaw on the kitty, and we do not spill the drink. Oh, it disappeared, but I think American Loyalist is asking if we have anything from the East. Well, the Imperial Manor is a New York Central 20th Century Limited car. That's about as East Coast as you can get. But the main objective of the museum is to represent railroad items that represent the state of Arizona. But the one thing that kind of you can use it as an excuse is the fact that because it was a through sleeper car, in many ways, it could also come out on the Super Chief, so it probably came through Arizona quite often. Not yet, Ozzy. I'm actually, I had mad skills in this cart, and I have not seen one lick of liquor leave that glass. It's come close, but... So we're going to see the streamlined Santa Fe cars here. And this is actually my favorite run of cars. No, it's not, Mark. Look. Completely dry. Not one drop. Oh! That spoke too soon. We won't talk about that. All right. Here we go. Oh boy, it did spill. Okay. Welcome to the Denny Hot Soup. This is a 1937 original equipment Santa Fe Super Chief, 4 drawing room, 1 double bedroom Pullman lounge observation car. It was originally what was known as a boat tail observation car, meaning it had a round end. And in the mid 1950s, Santa Fe had decided to make the car usable mid train, and they rebuilt it with a square end. It still has windows on the rear, but it is now a flat end car. Now, 1 second here. Close the door. Put my drink down. I will try and get some pictures up. Maybe I'll share them with James and put them on Mark's Discord channel. But this car is a absolute visual miracle that the museum pulled off. This car never went to Amtrak. Santa Fe had retired the car in the late 60s. And it was one of those types of situations where it never found a true home. It was just it was a misfit and just got moved from place to place and was basically abandoned in some cases. And windows were broken and the elements were coming to the car. All of the interior had been stripped out. A lot of this interior in here is and was masonite. And you can understand how masonite doesn't do well with water. And so the interior was basically trashed, completely trashed. And it was sitting on a short line railroad somewhere back east. And they were filming a movie, a horror film. Oh, there you go, James. This is a horror film you can look up. Filming a horror film called Terror Train, starring Jamie Lee Curtis and what's the magician's name? David. David. Oh shoot! Why can't I think of his name? Copperfield. Copperfield. And so this was one of the cars that they had decided to grab to use for the train in the movie, not only for exterior but for interior shots. And at that time, the interior was actually still a little bit intact. And so there are several scenes in the movie that take place in this lounge, particularly looking at this end with those windows at the end. And you can see Jamie Lee Curtis in several shots in that movie. But it was after that when the car basically saw the real neglect. And the even worse thing was that they wanted to paint the train black. And of course, you can see on the outside that this is a fluted stainless steel car. And regular black paint didn't seem to be wanting to stick very well. So they used like some kind of a thick tar, almost like automobile undersealant, it's very thick, almost creosote like, and coated the entire outside of the car with it. And when I first started getting into working with railroad cars, you'd always hear about this car and that car up for sale, and I had always heard about this car being up for sale. And although it was completely trashed, it's a gem. It was a gem as far as what it was, but it got a nickname of the not so hot so instead of the Denny hot so. It was the not so hot so. But it was eventually donated to the museum. All of the black tar was stripped off the body, and the stainless acid washed and polished, and every bit of interior on this car was redone. These little newspaper table stands were custom made by one of our guys here at the museum. The furniture is not original to the car, but it is Santa Fe lounge car furniture from the 1950s. And although the upholstery isn't exactly to what you would probably find, but it is an Indian motif, which was what we were looking for. And then we do also have like the Kachina dolls painted on the interior panels between the windows. I think. Let's see. Can I turn on the light? Oh, sorry. Oh, wait a minute. The light switch is here. I don't know. Where's the other switch? Huh. This one. So this is a drawing room. This was actually one of the largest rooms you could get on a train through most of the history of trains in the United States, anyway. The only bedroom space that was bigger than a drawing room was called a master room, and it actually had 4 berths. But this is a drawing room which had 3, and again, sofa berth down below, upper berth above, but with extra floor space for another chair and a 3rd bed. And then right here behind this wall, which I can't quite reach into because I'm reaching over plexiglass, is the bathroom for the drawing room. And there were 4 of these on this car. and a small regular double bedroom like that I had on my car. Nope. One more switch. There it is. One more switch. All right. Something hit me in the ass. So this is a Santa Fe 1947 Pullman Company built coach, which actually shows more of an Amtrak interior as far as color is concerned, but it is pretty much all original in Santa Fe. And you'll see the seats here in a minute. But most typical coaches have one end of the car dedicated to men, and the other is dedicated to women. This is definitely the women's area because you do have a vanity here. Lots of stainless steel, absolutely, and you do have a little sofa in here to relax, and then the actual toilet is in there, and then the men's room is on the opposite side of the car, but it doesn't have a vanity. So this was your typical 1940s, mid-century long-distance coach, complete with luggage rack and reading lights. And now the seats are not original to the car. If it was a long-distance coach, you would actually have a more reclining space and leg rests. These seats are set up for reclining, but not for leg rest. I believe, I believe you could. Yes, I don't think there was any restriction on where you could smoke on most trains. It wasn't like and even like on ocean liners like Queen Mary, it wasn't like you couldn't smoke in areas of the ship. You could smoke anywhere you wanted to, and you would often find ashtrays, or what they would call ends, the little cigarette ends. There's a few that are still hanging up in third class. This is the men's bedroom, or men's bathroom on this side, and it does have a little sofa seat over here. But as you can see, it does not have a vanity. But I always like the dental bowl, just a spot where you could brush your teeth and rinse your toothbrush out, but it's not a full sink. This car that we're going into was also a Santa Fe long distance coach, and also built in 1947. It was built by the Budd Company, which were known to build all stainless steel cars. Which my car is a Budd car. But the very, very unique thing about this car, Amtrak ran the car as a regular coach for several years, and then retired the car. And of all people to buy the car, and several identical to it, was NASA. And the intention for this car and the four other cars that they got was that they were to be used as security escort cars when they moved the solid rocket boosters for the space shuttle program back to Cape Canaveral after being ditched in the Pacific Ocean, because NASA had intended to start launching shuttles from Vandenberg Air Force Base. And that was all set in motion. And in fact, NASA had completely gutted this car and the other four cars. And we're in the process of going to put in the new interiors for them for escorting. And then the Challenger disaster happened. And Vandenberg never became a launch site for space shuttles. And so these cars were put up as surplus and then sold. Literally were bought by a friend of mine for $500 a piece. He spent $2,500 on 5 cars, and then moved. They got moved out to Colton from Vandenberg, and 4 of the cars. Let's see, 3 of the cars were kept by a company who had put up some money to get the move. They paid for the freight movement. 1 car went to another guy, and then the guy that originally did the brokering for the 5 cars originally, he got to keep a car, and this was the car he kept. He finally decided to sell it to a member of the museum, and he decided he was going to make this his own little party car for himself and for friends and for the museum. And then when he passed away, it went to the museum, and so we use it for those same purposes. In fact, when we have our Christmas dinner, Austin knows we use this as our bar car, and we decorate it all up in Christmas decorations, and so it gets used quite a bit for that type of stuff. Hey, Ron, how you doing? Okay, then one last car, and then we're gonna walk back, and I'm gonna put the phone over so I can talk to you guys for a little bit, and then we'll probably. What time is it anyway? We are almost an hour. Okay, very good. I don't want to go into James's live stream. Don't everybody go to the American Travels channel, All American Travels channel at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 o'clock Pacific, for his 1 hour live stream, which will be in just a little over an hour from now. So I was trying to get the lights on in here, but I couldn't get the lights on. So we are in the 1953 Pullman built Super Chief Pleasure Dome car. And this car is basically almost all original. This is original furniture, original tables. We are missing a few pieces of furniture, but they will be coming in here at some point because we do have sources for them, or at least going to get some replicas made. We have the original Navajo sand paintings at the end of the car. And the railroad had come up with a unique form of lighting. They called it starlight lighting. So it's just basically, it's just diffused fluorescent lights. But the little star pattern holes are all that the light is allowed to come through. And it's just enough light to light the room and light what you need to see without actually being glaring. And so this car, and actually even the high level lounge next to us, had starlight lighting, or has starlight lighting. We have a little. The conductor would often be in this spot here, which is a little writing desk. If the conductor wasn't using it, there was stationery set up here. People could basically even mail letters. I believe there was a mail slot where we did have the railway post office on board that you could mail letters, and it would be taken off the train and postmarked as a RPO mail. And so we keep this covered because it's not only hot, but it rains a lot here too in the monsoon time. So it's a little dark and covered. But this is the dome section of the car. And we have a single person parlor seats, and then we have our 4 2-person little settees. The parlor seats will actually swivel around 360 degrees. So we didn't have the tarp over the glass. You could imagine basically you have a 360 degree scenic view of whatever territory the train is going through. One of my favorite cars. So on this car, we also have a lower lounge, which we're missing the furniture too, but we do have some seats in here. And then we have this beautiful bar downstairs with the lucite backlit um, mirrored glass in the back. There are refrigerators and freezers and all that stuff in there for the attendant bartender to do a service out of. But these cars uh, have another unique feature only to the Santa Fe Super Chief, and that was right through that door right there, which is where. No, actually, we're gonna go through the other way. So right next to this car would have been the dining car for the train, and for a little extra money, and if you had reservations placed in advance, well in advance of your booking for the train, you could book a space in the turquoise room. And although it is painted in almost a turquoise color, it wasn't known for the color of the room, but actually because of the really, really, really elaborate silver and turquoise medallion. All 6 of the cars that were built each had a medallion slightly different from one another. There is only one known to exist, or I should say, one that is known, as in we know where it's at. The other 5 so they got to be out there somewhere, but nobody knows where they're at. So this was basically a private dining room or an elite dining room. You had a couple tables for just 2, and then you had a larger group party booth here, and you could book space in the turquoise room. They had a special steak and champagne dinner that Fred Harvey was the company that operated the meal services, the dining services on Santa Fe trains. They also operated all of the hotels along the Santa Fe route as well. And so you had Fred Harvey service special champagne and steak dinner, and it also was only like maybe $3 or $4 back in the 50s, which was very expensive at that time. But and that little cabinet right there, where there is an image of the medallion, is where the original medallion once went. I don't think we'll ever get a medallion. And that is the end of the line for here. And I'm going to go sit down and relax here. But so what did everybody think? Whee! Yeah, Mark, it does look 50s. It's very, very 50s, I would say. Okay, one more car. I have walked trains that have had, let's see, the longest train I have ever been on was 22 cars. This was only 4. Oof. All right. All right, now I keep my drink. Let's see if I can set this up now. Okay, I want to find out. Oh, wait a minute. Can I pull up? Oh, good. Okay, very good. Very good. Not anytime soon, but I have been out to Pennsylvania. Um, and this car was even stored at the Strasburg for quite a while. Okay. So I'm almost afraid to do this, but hold on one second. Oh, you know what? I better not even do it. Better not even take that chance. I'm gonna see if I can pull the microphone out. And okay. I might be able to do that. No. This is what I really needed, my friends here. But all right, well, let's see if we can do this. Oh, here we go. All right, it's a little warm in here. I didn't want to run the air conditioner because it is loud, and so it would affect the hearing through the microphone. But yeah, Mark, they are narrow. And when I was a lot heavier, it was a little bit more difficult. And I'll tell you, on some cars, Amtrak particularly had decided they were going to not paint. They were going to add carpet to the wall panels, and so you could be walking through the hallway, and the train will be rocking, and the next thing you know is your arm bounces, or gets thrown into the wall as you're moving, and what you end up with is really nasty carpet burns on your arms, and that wasn't very pleasant. I really need my drink. Hold on. Oh, can I do that maybe? Let's see if I can. Oh, that's even better. Okay. Oh, no, let's see. No, go away. Oh. Yeah, so these glasses I use because they just fit over my regular glasses perfect. Oh, come on. Wonderful. Okay, ignore the light lens there. I needed to find something where I could put the phone. This is absolutely drinky. Oh my goodness. I needed that. I'm all hot and sweaty here right now, though. But that was good. That's really good. Well, I hope you enjoyed a little bit of a taste of the Arizona Railway Museum. When you really stop to think about it, all the famous trains, Super Cheap and 20th Century Limited and Broadway Limited, and, at some point in time, you had passengers that were meeting their liner in New York or in Boston, and took those trains to get to their ship. Aaron, are you spicing the main brace too? I don't know. I didn't bring it with me. Oh, okay, great. Now maybe I can see I didn't have the sweat dripping in my eyes. Number 5, holy cow. Yeah, I haven't even gotten there yet. And I'm really kind of freaking out because they haven't called me about my car. That's really kind of getting on my nerves here a little bit. Wine? Wine? Is it boxed? Well, the car has a number, but the Seaboard Railroad didn't really uh, even highlight the number of the car. It was on the car um, for just basically, location purposes, and that was number 42. And the number board on the car that said 42 is like a 6 inch by 9 inch plate, very very small. Uh, Amtrak gave it a number. The Seaboard Coastline had a number for it. But now, as far as the train that it was on, God, I can't. You know what? For the life of me, I can't remember what the train numbers were for the Silver Meteor. I don't know. I'll find out for you. I won't talk bad about boxed wine. Um, I mean, it's okay wine. It's not great, but it's okay. It's tolerable, and you can get a lot of wine in a much more reasonable price. Well, yeah, that's true. Well, depends on the wine, really. Uh, Actually, more higher quality wines have slightly higher alcohol content than all the cheaper stuff. But I didn't even. Did anybody notice if Moser was on here? I was just curious if he showed up or not. Oh, look at Aaron doing his Google searching. Yeah, there were 9 cars total actually ordered. Uh, 6 went to the Seaboard. The other 3 were ordered by the Pennsylvania Railroad, and that was because, excuse me, the Pennsylvania Railroad operated the Washington to New York section of the Silver Meteor, and so their 3 cars were their contribution to the train set. I would say out of the 9, there are probably 6 still around, floating around. Amtrak had kept several of the cars um, up until like 2012, 2013. Um, they had modernized some of the cars to what they called heritage fleet service, and they they were kept in service all the way. Uh, well, maybe not 2013, at least early 2000s. Oh, yeah. It was the only collared shirt that I had available to grab at the time before I was leaving the house. He was actually on the stream, Mark. So I don't know about you, but this whole vertical live streaming is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Damn, Aaron. That's it. I mean, you basically got it right there. I was the one who brokered the sale to uh, between Russ Lassie and my friend. That was in 2017, and the car came to me. Russ was actually president of the museum at that time. Holy cow! Russ was actually an employee of the city of Chandler. He worked in their parks department, I think, and he was part of. I don't think he. I'm not sure if he was a founder, but he was definitely in the early years of the museum. Uh, I remember when he was working on the car, and at that time, the museum was actually getting requests from the local railroads to use museum equipment cars for oh they did an Operation Lifesaver train where they basically throw a couple of passenger cars and a locomotive, and they basically go around the city and purposely look for people to uh, uh, bypass railroad crossings. And so they would set up a line where the train would go back and forth, and there would be cops at grade crossings or near grade crossings, and the train would be going slow, but blowing its horn and basically annoying drivers at the grade crossings to get them to. Well, this is almost like entrapment. I don't want to say it's entrapment, but it is. It kind of gives you the impression of a little bit of entrapment, but they would actually have local police in the locomotive, and they would be coordinating to where they could have a cruiser ready to pull somebody over as soon as they cross those gates, and uh, and then ticket them, or at least give them a good warning. I'm not even sure if they ticketed them then, but um, so 2704, Aaron, was the first Amtrak number. Amtrak had actually assigned an HTP number to the car. I think it was like 2774 or something like that. Um, and that was the number that was going to be assigned to the car once it got HEP'd, which was basically a modernization of the car. But it never happened. And so I think only 3 of the 6 uh, Seaboard 106s, like my car, were HEP'd. The other 3 were sold, and the 3 Pennsylvania cars were sold. And the other interesting thing is that there was no reason why the car remained in the southeast, but it did. And although it wasn't necessarily always on the Silver Meteor on Amtrak service, it did see it saw Floridian service to Chicago. It saw Silver Star service. It saw Palmetto service, which Amtrak doesn't run anymore, I don't think. And then, but it did not venture out of the southeast. It was based in Hialeah. So, Mark was telling me about adding you as a mod, and I thought I thought you were on the list. So as soon as I'm done with the stream, I'll go in to the settings and make sure I add you. Yeah, I was always wondered what makes life flight helicopters so much more louder than like a standard helicopter. They are very, very loud. Wow, we're talking about all kinds of stuff. Life flight helicopters and lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. Well, I'll tell you what, we've reached an hour and 20 minutes, and I am, well, my drink needs ice. I don't mind it being a little weak because I can always strengthen it, but it is warm and it's not quenching. And I need to turn off all the lights. And I think I also need to give uh, the automobile place a call to find out about the car. Why is there a life flight helicopter near you, Mark? Oh, you're in New York, aren't you? Or am I thinking? I don't know. Or maybe I'm not thinking. Are you home? Oh, I understand. I understand. When you go to New York, I thought you said you were going to New York. Oh, you've been there and back already. Okay, I understand. I understand. All right, guys. Yeah, I think I'm done. I had something I wanted to bring up. I am going to be working on releasing that video with the interview with Bart, the vice president of the museum. But one thing that I am going to be releasing that I need to release, I have interviews um, with key management with the Queen Mary, and although it had originally been intended to be released in the early part of summer, uh, it's still very much needed to be seen and heard by people. So within the next few weeks, I'm going to be trying to work on that and release those interviews. I have an interview with Steve Kaloga, the managing director of the ship. I have an interview with John Thomas, who is the uh, historic resources advisor for the ship. I have a wonderful interview with Dylan Matheson. He's the director of experiences for the Queen Mary, and April DeLeon, who is fantastic as the director of attractions on the ship. She's basically responsible for the mass expansion of tours and the all the adding of the various types of tours that the attractions department offers. And we had mentioned all this at the beginning of summer, which when they were first launching these tours, and unfortunately wasn't able to get it out. But we need to get that material out, so I wanted to see it available for everybody to watch. And so that's the plan. As soon as I get home, if I have a car, uh, I think that's it. Anybody last questions or comments or why was it called Eddie Morris? As far as I understand, that was Russ Lassie's father's name. I don't know. I believe that was his middle name, Morris. So it was Eddie Morris Lassie, and he was a conductor for the Rock Island Railroad, which was the reason why he had painted the letterboard or the window panels red. I know they kind of look orange now, but they were painted what they called Golden State red. And then he had lettered the car with Golden State on the letterboards, and then Rock Island on the sideboards to make it look like it came from the Rock Island Golden State, which it didn't. And when the car first became mine, to call it mine, the very, very first thing I did on that car was take the Adiel Morris name off and put the original name of West Palm Beach back on the letterboard. And I'm absolutely shocked because I did that in 2018. So that is going on 6 years now. And those are vinyl letters produced by Fast Signs. And Fast Signs does really good work, very inexpensive work, where it's, it would be much more difficult for me to mask out or hand paint the lettering back on the boards. But to have them just make the vinyl lettering and apply it onto the stainless is so much easier. And it has lasted 6 years in the Arizona heat, and they still look as good as they did when I first applied them. So I'm very happy with Fast Signs. Yeah. All right, guys. I'm going to say farewell, so long. I'll be the Zane goodbye. And I'm going to grab maybe something to eat, give a phone call to my car or the auto place to find out about my car. And I'm hoping to head home. I'm supposed to be heading home here on Sunday, but I might not actually be heading home till Monday or Tuesday. And then hopefully I'll get home and then we'll start working on those other videos to bring out. Oh gosh, yes. Number 2 is definitely needing to be arranged. Thanks, Max. I will definitely add you to the mod list. You should have been on there already, and I thought you were, but I'll double check. All right, guys. Anybody who's here doesn't know, go to All American Travels channel. Check out James's live stream at 8 p.m. Eastern here in about 20 or 32 minutes. All right, guys. We'll see you. Bye-bye.